Hey everybody, how is everybody doing today? Today is April the 29th, Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. It's another day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Simone, the student teacher in the arena of education. I'm like the fire that shut up in Jeremiah's bones, according to Jeremiah 29. If I say I'll never mention the Lord or speak in his name, his words burn in my heart like a fire. I'm trying to hold it in. I just can't do it. Yes, I went to say that on my regular page and I got the words all jumble bumble. So I help teachers have the heart of a teacher, not just the content and knowledge of one. And I help new and novice authors, women 50 and older, craft their stories without compromising their faith and losing their voice. And we do it by speaking engagements, writing your book, writing an article, doing a podcast, or starting your own blog. And so I'm excited to come on and do this with you guys really, really quick. Next week, we're going to have a love the words that you write challenge. It's going to be a 5-day challenge. This is the first time that I've actually did a live 5-day challenge or any type of challenge. So I'm excited to bring this to you guys. And so a lot of people know that, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a book coach, book publisher, and I help people write their stories. And so I decided that, I'm going to start coming out here and sharing tidbits with you guys about writing, the process of writing, the process of publishing, just so you guys could know that if I was able to publish, surely you can publish. And for those of you who have author friends, you know that if you've had a conversation with them, they'll tell you that writing can be a bit tedious. Getting through your story can be the hardest part. After you publish the book, getting people, your target market, to actually buy the book. So there's a process in all of that. But one of the joys I love is that when I can get my thoughts out on paper and then be able to share them with other people and they say, hey, that blessed me. And so let me get right into this. Hey, I'm saying hello to all you guys, whether you YouTube live, whether you student teacher page. I will share this to my regular page. If you missed the live that I did yesterday on my page, praying and believing God for the students, the parents, and the teachers, it really blessed my own life, and people were making comments that it blessed them, and so I'm excited about it. So let me get into this really quick. If you want to comment, well, I want you to comment. I want you to engage, right? Let me know if I'm on the right track with this and if this is something that you needed today. So writing and publishing unapologetically. So how many of you guys have ever heard the statement, what happens in the house stays in the house? What happens in the house stays in the house, whether it was spoken to you directly or indirectly. How many of you ever heard that, especially growing up, especially as a younger child? Okay. Now, if you catching this on the replay, you can still type your comments. Sometimes I'm able to go back and engage and respond. Sometimes I'm not. So when you live, I can chime in right then. But for those of you who have heard what happens in the house stays in the house, I want to be the first one to tell you, if someone has not already told you, that's a lie. That's the number one lie I think a lot of people have been told. That's not true, because everything that happened to you in the house, in the building, in the church, on the streets, wherever it happened to you at, if you don't get help for that, if you don't get healed from that, it goes everywhere you go. And so, yeah, it may have happened at auntie's house or uncle's house, or yeah, it may have happened down the street or at my boyfriend's house or in the alley or at a store or, in a parking lot. But because it happened to you, it goes everywhere you go. It doesn't stay at the place that it happened. It doesn't stay in the state that it happened. It doesn't stay in the secrets of where it happened. It goes everywhere everywhere with you that it happened. And so we got to learn how to be able to get past it and get healed. One of the things that anybody who's taken one of my programs called, it was called Writing It to Write It. Writing It to Write It. This is one of the books that the Lord recommended, Making Peace with Your Past. Help for adult children of dysfunctional families. There's a lot of adults walking around right now, very dysfunctional, not even realizing that, you know what, the things that I thought was true, the way I handle relationships, the way I handle arguments, the way I handle people, the way I interact with people, that it's not even like functional. But if you never seen a different example, you don't even know if it's not right until you see somebody else and you see an example that say, wait, I can do this different. And this what makes you important. You have a story, you have expertise, you have an experience that you can share with somebody to say, listen, there's a better way. I believe in Titus 2 men and women. I believe in them. I love them, right? Titus 2, the older women show the younger women. The older men teach the younger men. And can younger people and younger men teach older women and older men? Absolutely. But I believe there's something about wisdom and about experience, that education, that a degree, that you just can't find that there. And this is a woman who has 2 degrees, right? A bachelor's in English and language arts, and then a master's in Christian studies focusing on youth ministry. But at the end of the day, I will sit at the feet of a mother. I will sit at the feet of an older person who has wisdom that can tell me, baby girl, you shouldn't be doing that. Or sweetie, you shouldn't be doing that. Or come on, let me give you some correction and insight on that. Because guess what? They have experience that we don't know. They went through stuff that we don't know. And for a lot of them, they have stories locked up on the inside. As a reading teacher, we deal with a genre called oral tradition. And I think a lot of our grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents grew up in a culture of oral tradition where they didn't always write it down, but they shared it with you and they told it. And a lot of our stories, a lot of our heritage, a lot of our history has been passed down through word of mouth. And you know one thing about word of mouth, that when it's passed down, sometimes it's not always articulated and passed down and regurgitated and shared the same way it was originally spoken. And that's why you can't allow somebody else to tell your story. As a reading teacher, as a middle school reading teacher, there's times when we played the game called telephone. If anybody played the telephone, comment telephone here. Telephone is where you start a message. One person starts a message and you whisper in the ear of somebody else, and it goes around until it gets back to the last person, and they're supposed to speak out loud what was shared. If you've ever played that game with children, especially, some of the stuff they say, I'm like, where did you get that from? But it's worse with adults because they don't necessarily tell you what was passed around in the telephone line. Hallelujah. You see it acted out. You see it presented in their life, in the choices that they made. And so they may not say, oh, well, my grandma told me that, or my cousin told me that, or I heard my aunt said it, or my mama said that, or my aunt's mama told her that, so she's telling me. We don't necessarily hear that. We just see it in action. So everything that happens to you in a house, everything that happens to you in a building, everything that happens to you in a ministry, it goes everywhere you go unless you get the help that you need. And so I would encourage any of you that before you want to publish a story, writing it down could be your therapy, because writing is definitely my therapy. And when you write in a journal, you write to God, he doesn't judge you. You can go to him and talk to him about whatever. And then you can go back and kind of read that stuff and think, wow, where was I at this moment that I said it? Wow, what was I thinking at this moment? Or why did I feel like that? And then you can kind of go and tailor what it is I want to see hit print, or what I want to see hit publish, or what I want to see on a podcast, or what I want to see on a blog, or what I want to see on the live. You can determine that, but write it down and get it off of you. For those of you who say, I'm not really a good writer, trust me, you don't have to be a good writer to be an amazing author. You don't have to be a good writer to have amazing blogs. What you do is you get somebody to edit that and help you with that stuff. For those of you who say, I'm just too lazy to write, there are applications that you can use, software that you can use, that you can speak your words and it transcribes for you. So really there is no excuse anymore, besides the fact that people don't want to do it. We make time for what we want to make time for. I keep reference Club Quarantine with DJ Nice because he spends hours on and he has thousands of viewers. So when people say they don't have time, it really means they just haven't factored that in as being important for them. So if you don't factor your story in as being important to share it, then you will never share it. So you have to love the words that you are writing in order to love to publish those words. So why is it important you tell your story? And let me put that here. Tell your own story. It's important that you tell your own story because nobody's going to tell it the way you tell it. You have 3 options with your story. And I learned this from my current speaker coach. Either you will tell it, it will never get told, or somebody else will tell it. And you already know that the way people share stuff is not always the way you're going to share things. If any of you watch the Karen Clark, not the Clark sister special on Lifetime, you know that now that Maddie Moss Clark is no longer alive. She can't really defend herself if she wanted to. She can't really clarify stuff if she wanted to. The sister that was not necessarily a part of the documentary, she could come back and share her story. So perhaps maybe what they share in the documentary may not necessarily be her side of the story. You have to tell your own story. You have to tell your own experiences. And you don't tell it from a broken place. You don't tell it from a sad place. You don't tell it from an embarrassed place or a shameful place. You share it from a whole place, from a place of gratitude, a place of thanksgiving. And I promise you, once you start sharing it and once you telling it, you'll feel so much better about your story. The enemy will no longer be able to keep what he thought you did as a secret that he's holding against you. Secrets, my friend told me this one time, secrets keep you sick, Simone. So you know all this stuff about you, and it's something called introspection. When you know about your feelings, your thoughts, your ways, what you doing, what you saying, who you talking to, the message you got in your phone, the emails that you done sent, the pictures that you done took. We know all that stuff about ourselves, and so we secretly hold on to that stuff, and we feel bad about it. The enemy keeps reminding you over and over and over again. Listen, you see what you did? Listen, you see what you did? Listen, you see what you did? You see what you did? You see what you did? So if you allow the enemy to keep allowing those secrets to beat you up in secret, you'll never be able to tell your story. So I'm encouraging you, one, tell your stories. And then don't talk about the generation of curses that continue to be perpetuated in a family because a secret that everybody knows. And this is the crazy part about a secret in a family. Everybody knows it. It's supposed to be a secret. Everybody knows it, but nobody, wants to confront it. Nobody wants to confront it. So don't be that person that continues to perpetuate a secret. Let me turn this down. Continue to perpetuate a secret that everybody knows in the family, but don't nobody want to talk about, right? Number 2, why is it good? And again, telling your own story gives you power and freedom of your truth and your experiences. Nobody can tell your experience and your truth like you can tell your experience and your truth. Nobody can be able to share how you felt in that moment, even if they went through the same thing. Every woman that I know, and I know they probably think, well, Simone, why are you always asking me this question? Because I do. I just asked my niece that the other night when I talked to her. I said, does it hurt when you have a baby? And she says, yeah. She was telling me that when they gave her the epidural, she's decided now if she wants to do natural birth or if she wants to do the epidural, because when she had the epidural with my first niece, she said it only numbed one side of her. And she's like, there's no need to go through all that pain if it's not even going to work. And so even though I ask every woman I know that has a child that I know closely, they all say yes, right? They all say yes, it hurts. But their experience in childbearing and childbirthing is all different. Even though it's 9 months for a term, some may have went 9 months plus. Some may have went less than 9 months. Some may have been exact on that date, but the experience is all different. So no matter what your experience is, because a lot of people say, well, everybody writes a book and everybody got a book or everybody's talking about this, but nobody is talking about it the way you're talking about it. Nobody's talking about it from your experience. Nobody's going to give it to them the way you're going to give it to, because we're all called to somebody, and the very thing that you have is going to resonate with the person that's supposed to receive it from you. A lot of people are saying the same thing over and over again. A lot of times people are sharing some similar messages because the word of the Lord says there's nothing new under the sun, but the way you share it, the way they connect with you is different from the way they're going to connect with me. I can come up here and tell you to tell your own story, that what happens in the house don't stay in the house, right? You may receive it from me, but the person that's supposed to receive it from you not going to get it from me. I hope that makes sense. Number 2. When you tell your story, it really gives you a power and a freedom that you will not be able to express when you like, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell this thing and it's not going to have, power over me. Right? Oh, number 3, you making a difference in somebody else's life. Right? This is what my friend told me. She told me this like several times, and I always share this with you guys. Her name is Kim Bird. She's actually part of the Reset Legacy. If you missed that Speak Life we did maybe like 2 Fridays ago, we talked about resetting your legacy. And so if you want to be a part of the anthology, we're going to come back and we're going to be sharing more. It's going to be an amazing project. I'm really excited to really finally be working with her. Now, number 3, this is what she told me. When you in it, it's for you. When you come out of it, it's for somebody else. So whatever experiences that you've already went through, currently it may be for you, or you felt like it was just for you, or why did you have to go through that? Why did I experienced this? Was I all alone? Was I by myself? Shaniqua talked about it on Saturday. And guys, I encourage you to go back and look at Unmaster Heal online. I couldn't even finish it all last night. It blessed me. I was overwhelmed, and then my internet went out. So it was like I couldn't finish watching anyway. But she talked about how she felt like she was all alone in this process of all these years. Kendra talked about like being a teen mom at 17, having 3 abortions, and then she's able to name her sons 20, 19, and 18. Like, what you're going through, I promise you, you're not by yourself. I promise you, somebody else done been through it. Even though your experience is different, when you come out of it, it's for somebody else. While you going through it, you got to learn your lessons. Whatever God is teaching you, whatever experience you need to make you a better person, or grow you up, or mature you. But when you come out and you share that story, people will look at you like, what? Even and all those people that shared on Saturday, I didn't know the depthness of their story. I just say, Lace, hey, say what God tells you to say. I didn't know she had 3 abortions, right? I didn't know Shaniqua was raped by her cousin and then got pregnant, and they treated the dogs better than they treated her. These are all stuff people tell you, and you look like, man, you went through what? So tell your own story. Tell your own story, because if somebody is a part of your story, and that's why I referenced the book, Healing from Your Past, how adult children can get through the dysfunction of their families. Because if a person is involved in your story, of course they're not going to share that part. Now, I don't believe that you should shame somebody and dog somebody out. You don't have to involve people's name in your story, but you can tell your truth. You can absolutely tell your truth. And the last reason why you want to share your story is because it's going to, well, not one of the last reasons, but one of the reasons is it's going to help somebody else become more encouraged to share their own story. When you hear stuff like that, it makes you say, shoot, the little stuff I went through ain't nothing. Oh man, I thought that what I did was something. But when you hear people telling they for real story, it encourages you. And again, I'm not saying come out on social media to tell your story. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't start off doing this, right? I started off with mothers in the church who just love me. I love older women. Older women love me. It started off like that. And then, I got into a class where they said, hey, let's do your timeline. Let's go back and share your story. And I'm like, well, I don't want to share my story, right? My teacher was on Saturday. Just being able to go back and remember some of the things that happened to you that was not your fault, that you didn't ask for, even if you responded to it, even if you reacted to it, especially people who've been sexually assaulted. You think, well, why am I responding to it? Why is my body responding? Like, it's a natural thing. Doesn't mean that you want to do it, but it is what it is at this point. And so don't disregard those things. Don't feel bad about those things. But you start walking in the freedom that God has given you to share and encourage and empower each other. And so it doesn't have to be a book. It could be a blog. It could be an infographic. It could be a journal. It could be a manual. It could be a micro book. It could be an ebook. You could do it through a testimonial. You could do a manual. You could do a guide. Or you could just write it down and share it out, or do a podcast with it. So somebody's waiting on you to tell your story and write your story right now. There's somebody that's waiting to hear your story right now. This day, this time, this year, this decade, in the midst of this pandemic, somebody's still waiting for you to write your story. And the last thing is you get to monetize off of your own story. You get to monetize off of your story. Say, pain, pay me. and then make your bank account shout hallelujah. Like, let your pain pay you. Everything you went through, everything that you did, let it be used so it could monetize and bless not only your life, but then you can do give back. So whatever you feel like you want to make a difference in the community, money answers all things. We have greater influence and greater impact when we have money to do more, to give more, to share more, to give back more. And so you can monetize off of your pain, your story, your expertise, and your experience. And so I'm gonna give you 5 tips for new novice and aspiring authors. I'm gonna give you 5 tips. And next week, when we do the Love the Words You Write so you can publish challenge, I'll be sharing more tips with you, and we'll be doing brief exercises every week. It'll be a 30-minute challenge every night. I'll come on. I don't know if it's going to be live or it's going to be recorded video. So if you see me with what I have on right now and these videos next week, just know that I ain't kept the same thing on for 5 days. I just record the videos all in one setting because perhaps I didn't want to go live. Okay. Now, 5 tips for new novice and aspiring authors. The first one is just write. Whatever your thoughts are, just write. Just write. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, mechanics, sentence formation, run-on sentences. You know, I teach middle school students. Some of their sentences is like they go from Maryland to DC. They just keep going. Like, there's no period, there's no punctuation, there's no comma, there's nothing. They just write one big sentence and they're just running on. And I love it because they want to get their thoughts out. And sometimes our thoughts in our head go faster than what we can actually write. And so for those of you who want to like say, hey, I can't do all this writing, again, there's applications that you can use to actually speak your story into a document that transcribes it. And even when we're writing, because I used to do that with Google Docs a lot, when I went back and read it, because we're speaking fast, or if you have a dialect or accent, you know, sometimes they don't translate what you really want to say, and so it's all mumbo jumbo and you don't even know what the heck they type. So just write. Get the ideas out your head onto paper. Just write. Number 2, don't worry about a page count. Don't worry about formatting. Don't worry about the book cover, the book size. Don't worry about is it going to make sense? It's going to make sense once you go back and fix the edits, once you go back to correct it, okay? And then some of the things that you put inside of your writing, you may not use it for a book. You may not use it for anything at the time, but everything that you write is very, very important. One, because it's important to you. And if it's important to you, then it matters to you, okay? Number 3, don't force your writing. Don't overthink your writing, but trust what you write. Don't force it. Don't like, oh my God, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to like write and nothing is coming. Don't force it, because then you get frustrated and you say, hey, forget it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to write. I want to tell the story. Let it come natural to you. For me, I have lots of notes inside of my phone, like lots of them. When I have a thought, I put them down. I haven't used them all. I haven't even spoken them all, but I got it out my head. So then I don't just keep it there and I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm constantly analyzing. Get it out of your head. Don't overthink your writing. Write down what you feel, but trust your writing. Trust what you're saying. Trust what you believe. Trust what's in your heart and your mind to release. Trust your writing. Number 4, write consistently. Being consistent is the key to consistent success, consistent habits. But when it comes to writing, I always tell people who want to work with me, listen, you choose what that consistency looks for you. Now, what we do set deadlines. Okay, if you say, okay, I want to write my book, you know, I know I can finish it in a certain amount of time, then we put deadlines on that, right? That way you are held accountable for that. But be consistent, and that is consistent for you. For some people, as a single person, I think that, you know, I may have more time than a person with children or married. I just repurpose mine and use it differently. And so whatever your situation looks like, whether you're married, single, divorced, single mom, you know, CEO, pastor, whatever you do, whatever titles you have outside of being a woman of God, a daughter of the King, a man of valor, a son, you have to determine how consistent can you be. For some people, they can choose one day a week and say, I'm just write for 2 hours, right? And you sit down and you you plan to write for 2 hours. Some people that say, listen, all I got is 10 minutes a day. Whatever that is for you, you be consistent in that until you get it finished. And don't get discouraged if it takes you longer, because guess what? We're not in competition with anybody else except ourselves. Outdo the best you from yesterday. I'm not in competition with nobody else. I'm not in competition with any other publisher, any other author, any other woman, any other speaker, any other middle school reading teacher. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm not in competition with somebody who may be the baby girl of her mother and has 2 older brothers. Don't be in competition with people, and don't even be in competition with your writing ability. Because one day you may can write for 2 hours nonstop, and another day you just ain't feeling it. Don't beat yourself up about that. Be consistent and determine what that looks like for you. And then the last one is hire an editor. You do not need to be a great writer to be an amazing author. That's why you hire somebody professionally to edit your work. You do not need to be a great writer to be an amazing author. Some of the most amazing authors that I've seen, they have a team of people that come together to help them with their book, whether it's from graphic design, the cover, the formatting, the editing, ideas, the book blurb, the book description, the size of the book, all of that. They have a team helping them. So don't feel bad about that. And then, oh yeah. So get you some help. Start writing your stories down. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't do any of that, and you're going to be well. So I love you guys today. Be blessed in Jesus' name. I think you guys heard a little feedback. My friend is on the other end of the phone, and I can hear her. So I don't know if y'all can hear her too, but I love you guys today. If you didn't catch Speak, Unmaster Hill, go back and look at it. It's 5 hours of the Lord's goodness. India was singing her heart out. We had an after party after that. It was like she went on her page and ministered for like 45 more minutes. So it was exciting. So I'm excited to see all the things that God is going to do with us, all the things that he has done with us. Friend, can you put your phone on mute? Guys, I should have told her that earlier. I didn't realize that if I could hear it, that you guys can hear it too. But hey, it is what it is. This is what happened. One of the things that I've been wanting to launch for a while is the apparel line that God has given me. And, I didn't know when to do it, but after going back and watching the stores and after listening to everybody, I talked to my friend before that I wanted her to do the shirts. All the shirts you saw with Sue the Teacher, she had been doing them, but right now she's out of position to do them. And so I found another vendor to do it. And so now we have launched. And if the theme throughout the event was that God did it. We thank God for pastors and leaders and mothers and fathers and coaches and mentors and people who disciple you, but it was God that makes the change. One waters, one plants, but God gives the increase. And that's what happens. Jesus is our conversion. Jesus is our conversion. Jesus is absolutely our conversion. So if you want to order a Jesus is my conversion t-shirt, if you see the link down at the bottom, bit.ly//Jesus conversion. If you go on the site, you can see the sizes there. It goes from small up into 2, 3X. It's a white shirt. I wish I would have put the picture here, but I don't have the picture here. But you can go on the site and check it out. There's a discount code I will give you guys. I won't post it here. So if you're live listening now or you catch it, you can go use it. It's unmasked, all lowercase. You get a $5 discount off of the shirt. So I love you guys today. Leave your comments, leave your feedback. You can go back and let me know what you think about this. If you're ready to write and publish unapologetically, if you've already wrote or published unapologetically, put the links to your books here so we can go back and see all the goodness that you have and perhaps even purchase a couple. If I was able to self-publish 7 books in 10 months, trust and believe that you can publish 1 book in the next 6 months. So I love you guys today. Be blessed in Jesus' name.